We got an update on Greta Gerwig's The Chronicles of Narnia adaptation, which is happening over at Netflix from Netflix film boss Scott Stuber. He recently spoke with Variety about the projects that he's working on. But before we get to what Stuber had to say, let's give you some brief overview of what's going on with these Chronicles of Narnia projects over at Netflix. Netflix originally announced they were working on multiple projects for the Chronicles of Narnia back in 2018. A press release stated Netflix will develop new series and film projects based on C.S. Lewis's beloved The Chronicles of Narnia series. Under the terms of a multi-year deal between Netflix and the C.S. Lewis Company, Netflix will develop classic stories from across the Narnia universe into series and films for its members worldwide. Netflix's chief content officer Ted Sarandos said at the time, C.S. Lewis's beloved Chronicles of Narnia stories have resonated with generations of readers around the world. Families have fallen in love with characters like Aslan and the entire world of Narnia, and we're thrilled to be their home for years to come. C.S. Lewis's stepson, Douglas Gresham, also said it is wonderful to know that folks from all over are looking forward to seeing more of Narnia, and that the advances in production and distribution technology have made it possible for us to make Narnian adventures come to life all over the world. Netflix seems to be the very best medium with which to achieve this aim, and I am looking forward to working with them towards this goal. During the promotion of Barbie, it was revealed by the New Yorker's Alex Brask, I'm not sure how to say his name, that Gerwig would write and direct at least 2 films based on C.S. Lewis's The Chronicles of Narnia. During the press tour, Gerwig gave an update on the films, telling Games Radar, I haven't even really started wrapping my arms around it, but I'm properly scared of it, which feels like a good place to start. She then said, I think when I'm scared, it's always a good sign. Maybe when I stop being scared, it'll be like, okay, maybe I shouldn't do that one. No, I'm terrified of it. It's extraordinary, and so we'll see. I don't know. She added, I hope to make all different kinds of movies in the course of the time I get to make movies, which it's a long time, but it's also limited. I want to do big things and small things and everywhere in between, and having another big canvas is exciting and also daunting. Obviously, Chronicles of Narnia being that canvas, I guess she's referring to. I wouldn't really call it a canvas. It's already been painted on by C.S. Lewis. But nevertheless, that's what she said. So during an interview with Variety's Cynthia Littleton, Stuber gave an update on the various Narnia projects they have been working on, and specifically the ones Gerwig is attached to. This is what he said. He said, Gerwig grew up in a Christian background. The C.S. Lewis books are very much based in Christianity, and so we just started talking about it. And like I said earlier, we don't have IP. He's talking about Netflix not having like original IP, so they license properties, which I guess that's not really true. I think they do have IP. They have things like Extraction and other things like that. I guess they just don't have traditional IP like the Chronicles of Narnia. But he goes on and says, and so we just started talking about it. And like I said earlier, we don't have IP. So when we had the opportunity to license those books with the Roald Dahl Company, we've jumped at it to have stories that people recognize and the ability to tell those stories. So it's just a great opportunity, and I'm so thrilled that she's working on it with us, and I'm just thrilled to be in business with her, and she's just an incredible talent. I do find it kind of odd that he has to point out that she grew up in a Christian background, and that somehow means she's qualified for writing the Chronicles of Narnia, because they are based in Christianity, and I would argue, if you look at what C.S. Lewis says, they are used to proselytize Christianity and spread it to children and explain the gospel message of Jesus Christ. So I'm not really sure why you would have someone who isn't a Christian trying to tell those stories. Just because you grew up in one doesn't mean you're practicing, and I don't think Greta Gerwig is. Asked what Greta Gerwig's role is on the project, Stuber said, obviously The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe is kind of the preeminent one, but there's such an interesting narrative form to the Narnia series if you read all of them. So he's basically punting on the question. He was basically asked, is she writing, is she directing, what exactly is she doing? He doesn't really answer it. He's talking about The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe being the most famous book, most famous story that Lewis wrote in his Chronicles of Narnia novels. But nevertheless, Stuart goes on and says, and so that's what she's working on now with producer Amy Pascal and Mark Gordon, and they're trying to figure out how they can break the whole arc of all of it. So that doesn't really sound good. I don't know if that's just a figure of speech that he was using, but breaking the whole arc of it, trying to figure out, just really doesn't make a lot of sense to me. C.S. Lewis already did that. It's in the novels. The blueprint is already there. You can follow it. This should be a formula that you should follow from your One Piece show that seems to be doing a pretty good job of adapting the anime and the manga and staying true to that source material. You're even having a lot of your producers and directors saying as much. So maybe follow that formula that's been successful on your TV side. Might be a good thing. But there is concern about Gerwig's role in the film projects, given she declared her Barbie movie as a feminist film and appears to want to proselytize this anti-Christian ideology. And indeed, feminism is anti-Christian. We'll get to that in a little bit. But as far as what she had to say about the Barbie movie, this is what she told ABC News over in Australia. She says, I think it belongs to the film because when we were making it, the whole Barbie is like an icon that, as Margot was speaking to, she exists in the both and, not the either or. She's not either good or bad or, diving into the complexity of it and not running away from it, but looking at all the thorniness and stepping into it and also looking at all of the thorniness and stepping into what is the negotiation of what women need to be and how to give them something other than a tightrope to walk on is how it feels feminist to me. I have absolutely no clue what she's trying to say there. It sounds like just a bunch of garbled words together. It doesn't really make any sense, but she's clearly declaring it a feminist movie. Whether or not her explanation of it makes any sense. But Lewis made it abundantly clear the Chronicles of Narnia books would help spread Christianity. He wrote this in Sometimes Fairy Stories May Say Best What's to Be Said, an essay in On Stories and Other Essays on Literature. And he said, why did one find it so hard to feel as one was told one ought to feel about God or about the sufferings of Christ? I thought the chief reason was that one was told one ought to. An obligation to feel can freeze feelings, and reverence itself did harm. The whole subject was associated with lowered voices, almost as if it were something medical. But supposing that by casting all these things into an imaginary world, stripping them of their stained glass and Sunday school associations, one could make them, for the first time, appear in their real potency. Could one not thus steal past those watchful dragons? I thought one could. And he's specifically talking about the Chronicles of Narnia and how he wanted to strip past those watchful dragons and proselytize the gospel of Jesus Christ through fairy stories, which I think he does an exceptional job at. And feminism is indeed incompatible with Christianity. I told you we would get to this. But we have Dale O'Leary over at EWTN. He says this: feminist analysis is nonsense. Women aren't going to be better off when there are no families. There is no evidence that any of this will work. From the beginning, the goals of feminism were clear: destruction of patriarchy, control of reproduction, including contraception, abortion, and reproductive technologies, destruction of the father-headed family with divorce and illegitimacy made normal, all women in the workforce, no man able to support his family, and free 24-hour daycare, destruction of all male institutions, total sexual liberation, including sex for children, homosexuality and bisexuality, destruction of worship of God as Father. So clearly, if that is your ideology and is promoting all of those things, it is not compatible with Christianity. And I don't think Greta Gerwig is the person who should be doing anything with the Chronicles of Narnia. The only thing she could probably do is subvert the message of Jesus Christ that is found so profoundly within C.S. Lewis's The Chronicles of Narnia.
Subscribe for more.